I'm old school. I'm north of 60 years old. So I grew up in the 70s when things were very different as far as cars and all the other kind of stuff that had to do with, being a gearhead. So I decided let's do a video, a fun video, and for the old school kind of guys like myself, I'm just gonna lay out a few things, and we'll basically open discussion kind of things. And then when the video's over, comment. Uh, I really want to know what people think about what I'm going to be covering here, because it's all fun. It's all fun stuff, fun facts. So what do we have here? We have here one of these new scanners. This is very common now. Without this, you can't do anything. You're stuck, because you need to plug this in to your car. You get a code, then you basically check what the code is, and you got to go through troubleshooting procedures to diagnose the car. Sometimes it's just a simple sensor. Other times it's just something that, a loose fuel cap, and you get a code, and you go over there and you tighten the cap, and then you reset it, you erase the code. This is the kind of things that we're dealing with today. Now, I'm a retired mechanic, so I'm not really up to date with all the new technology. But this video is about having, a little fun. I'm going to say I'm not knocking the new mechanics, so none of that, because there's a lot of new mechanics that are, active old mechanics like myself. They're still in the field, and obviously they have the same experience from the old school kind of cars and all that. So anyway, I'm going to put this away, because this is not about talking about the scanner, by no means. I'm going to be talking about, okay, what is this? This is a drill bit. This is old school. What is this? This is funny. It's a funny piece of a tool that I do a lot of funny TikTok videos with it. And I decided, since I'm going to be talking about all this other stuff that's all fun, I decided let's start with the oldest tool in my toolbox, something I'm not really using. This is basically something I picked up in one of the garage sales, and I love it to death. It's it's made in the USA. This is a real Stanley tool. This is not like a refab or anything, no reproduction, none of that. This is the real McCoy. And look at it. Anyway, this is not about that either. This is about this. This here took this place. Now all the most tools are all powered tools. This is the drill. Obviously, everybody knows. This is not what this video is about. This video is about talking about things that no one right now, unless you're an old school kind of guy from, back in the days. What is this? Oh, this is Star Wars. Oh, it must be something from Star Wars. No, this is called a timing light. Something that some of the new guys that are learning the trade now, they honestly don't even know what this is about. They'll probably think this is something from one of those scientific satellite kind of stuff, from space and all that. Well, this is not. This is a timing light. This is used back in the days when you had to set the timing in a car. You had the different kind of, I don't want to get too technical, but anyway, it's fun to know that today, whoever, any of the new guys that are coming up and learning the trade, if they see this, they're not going to know. So I just decided, let's do something and reminisce, old school kind of guys. Let's reminisce on some of this old stuff that you don't even hear about anymore. A timing light, basically to time the car so it runs properly, and there's other components to making the car run good, tuning it. And after, when you've done all the tuning, you do the whole tune up, which is spark plugs, the wires, the points in the condenser, the cap, the rotor, and then you have all the fuel issues with carburation, and then you have the other issue, which is the vacuums, adjusting vacuum, pour vacuum, all kinds of different things. So what do? You start with tuning the car properly, using the right stuff. Back in the days, this is one tool that without this you could not work. So this is another issue right there. So now we're going to go with this here, checking vacuums. Like, you don't want to have issues with a car like a vacuum advance, which is attached to the distributor, and it provides advancement on the timing, which works with this timing light here. And like I said, this is not a tutorial on teaching anybody. This is a fun video for the old school kind of guys like myself, the gearheads, and we're just having fun, and let's just pick on the new guys now that are coming up, that they have it easy. They just plug in the little scanner and they get a code, and they walk down that road, the path to fixing the car. Back in the days, back in the old days, we had the carburetor. This is a carburetor tool that you go in there and you adjust the carburetor, so you can, if it's too rich, and you have to adjust the idle, all mechanical adjustments, nothing computerized, none of the stuff with the laptop. And like I said, we're having fun, guys. We're having fun. Don't beat me up later. Okay, what is this thing here? Oh, is it a coin? No, this is not a coin. No, what is this? Is this a star? No, this is not a star. Simple stuff to just, you want to set your spark plugs, the gap on the plugs, So these are things that, if probably, most of the plugs today, you don't even check them. They come in a box, a little box, and they're all, so protected. You don't even touch that. Most of them, they're like, really delicate. What else should we do that back in the days we had to? Oh, well, we have to adjust valve clearances, guys. Yeah, we don't do that anymore. Everything is hydraulic. All the lifters are hydraulic. You don't have to worry about that unless you're working on these old cars. So all these things, filler gauges, yeah, you see them? Yeah, we're having fun again. So then what do we have that I forgot to bring out here? Oh, gee, hold on. Let me go get it. Give me a minute. Let me go get it. Yeah, I'm back, guys. Here, I had to go get this tool. Well, what is this? Oh, this is a clock. Oh, so you can tell, check what time you're going to get off from work. No, it's not. This is one of the most important tools from the old school guys, old school mechanics, a vacuum gauge. You know, you plug this into your intake manifold. If you have a low reading on your gauge, that means you have a vacuum leak. When you have a vacuum leak, guys, there's all kinds of stuff that doesn't work properly. The carburetor, the way it functions, if you have poor vacuum, it's not going to work properly. So before you do anything with carburation, like if you had a problem with your carburetor, you thought it was a carburetor, before touching the carburetor, you plug one of these guys in and see what the vacuum is. If you have a good vacuum, which is about normal, it's about 20. If you have anything, in the low, 10, whatever, you have a problem. What's going to happen? Your carburetor is not going to work properly. So this is a very important gauge that most people back in the days, they were obviously familiar with, because that's part of your tool chest, So this is just fun stuff. I thought, hey, let's do something different, because now I go to these garages, like I said, I only work on my car and the stuff at home. I don't, I'm retired now. So, but I see the new generation plugging in their scanners and doing the way automotive is today is very different. Back in the days, I remember, the smell of a car, like, the engine, it was running rich. You knew that smell. Then you have oil, it's burning oil. It's a different kind of smell to it. So you had on just the one side, the scent of, the smell of the engine, how it was running, a sound. You could hear the motor like a whistling sound. Oh, that could be a vacuum leak. You could hear the vacuum, and you can, check. How did I check for vacuum leaks? I would get water, like, just any fluid on a bottle, and just spray through the intake manifold. When you saw the RPMs, the revolution per minute, they would rise, there was a problem in that area. Usually you could spray, WD-40 as well, or whatever. All that worked, but just something that would seal the area where you had a vacuum leak. So, you have a bottle, and you just put the spray on there. Usually you see the engine, the performance, it would just rise. The RPMs would rise. Something was in that area. It could have been a intake manifold gasket. It could have been anything. So, and then you check for vacuum hoses. All these old cars, they had vacuum hoses all over. It looked like spaghetti, It was a problem then. You know, a lot of times those hoses, they would just, you know, crack, and you had a vacuum leak, especially on the PVC valve. Remember the PVC valve? Well, these things, they gave us a lot of trouble back in the days. So anyway, the smell, the scent of the engine, the way the engine, the sound, you know, it could have been any kind of things. Then the timing, you know, the way the timing was adjusted back in the days, you just by the way the engine would start, you knew if it was too advanced. When you accelerated, you knew if it was too retarded. You know, so everything, it was between smelling the engine, the sound of the engine, and then the way the performance of the engines, you know, just in the acceleration. When you were like a true technician and you really knew your trade, you knew the difference. You didn't have anything you could plug in and tell you. No, it was based on knowledge. The guy that taught me, that I learned, I was 15 years old at the time. I was still in school. I used to go after work, after school. I used to go to the garage. It was a garage golf uh, station, and this guy, Bernard Thomas is his name. He basically got me started in this industry, and I got to thank him every single day because he honestly helped me so much in my career. So I want to say thank you, Bernie. That's his name, Bernie Bernard Thomas. Thank you for helping me, and I just want to say that, I learned from him, and he's an old school kind of guy, and back then you had to really dive in and learn because you didn't have, the dependence of a scanner. You had all these things that you had to do to troubleshoot a vehicle. And this is just the motor now. You got to talk about other things, the transmission, those manual transmissions. Uh, Now, many of these manufacturers now, they're all getting away from manual transmissions. So back in the days, you had the clutch, the pilot bushing, you had a pressure plate, you had the slave cylinder, you had all kinds of different things. All these things, you couldn't just plug in a scanner. No, you had to know, why is the pedal like this on the clutch? And now let's go to the other component, the most important component, the brakes. No ABS lights and none of that. No, you had to go and just troubleshoot. If the pedal went down slowly, you think, oh, well, what's going on here? That was just all old school troubleshooting. So this video is just, let's poke fun at the new ways, for us old folks and the old school kind of guys. And it's just, like I said, a fun video. Don't take offense to anything that I'm saying. I decided, let's do something because right now, a shout out to the old mechanics that are no longer working like myself, that did all this work and worked in an industry that we really didn't get a lot of respect. A lot of the guys, we were known for being a grease monkey. A grease monkey. Look at the grease monkey. So, I didn't look at it like that. I honestly did that because I loved the trade. I learned very young. My first car was a Dodge Dart with a 340 3-speed. I bought the car when I was 14 years old. I couldn't drive the car. So my parents let me buy the car, but I couldn't drive it. So I just tinkered with it. And that's how I got started in this industry, because I loved the trade. I loved to, do things to my car, even though I wasn't able to drive it. So anyway, I just wanted to do this video and share it with the viewers because it's fun. I mean, we gotta also not take life serious, and I just thought it'd be a fun video to do. So thank you for watching. Please follow our channels. We have Miami Gearheads, and I have a Spanish channel, which is the same thing, and it's going to be Motores, Ruedas y Motores, Miami, which means tires, wheels, and motors in Spanish. Because sometimes, Miami is a Spanglish town. Thank God, we're able to communicate in both languages and get our message out. And like I said, if I could hit 2 balls at one time with one bat, I'm gonna do it. So thank you for watching. God bless.